humanity. Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 7188. Breaking news and updates. Bronx Post. Changing the reality. Changing the narrative.
Okay, welcome to Talking Politics. My name is Robert Press. I am a reporter, as you can see by my official New York City press card. I write for the Bronx Post and Parkchester Times. Both, like this show, are part of Parrot Media Corporation. I also have a blog at www.100%bronx.blogspot.com and Facebook pages 100% and What is Going On in Your Local Community Board. The views expressed on this show are that of the host, any guest, or anyone commenting at the bottom of the screen, and not necessarily that of Parrot Media Corporation. I will bring on my guest today, Anthony Ravecchio, in a moment, but let's go to the weather report. Today, Friday, we will have a high of 30 with an inch or two of snow coming tonight. Saturday, the high will be 27 and only 19 on Sunday before going back to 27 on Monday. The 30s will come back starting on Tuesday through Friday, but then we're in for another cold snap. 17 New Yorkers have died after exposure to frigid temperature since January 24th, raising the questions about how New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani has managed the crisis. It is much like when Mayor John Lindsay came into office, where we had a big snowstorm, and he got an F for that rating because there were areas that didn't get plowed for 2 weeks. And apparently, finally, now front loaders are coming to the streets and just taking the snow and putting it back in the middle of the street so cars can run over it. New York, as I said, New York is expected to remain in a deep freeze for the coming week, but forecasters say there's a strong chance that temperatures will warm up in mid-February as the polar jet stream shifts overhead. The eastern United States could see warmer weather after an extended stretch of frigid temperature that has felt especially brutal compared with recent mild winters. Let's go into the news as borders are, and can we bring on Anthony? Is Anthony here? And my guest, Anthony Ravecchio. Are you here, Anthony?
Good morning, sir.
Professor, how are you?
I am fine. I am drinking coffee, as you can tell by my cup.
I'm letting my hair grow. I want to see how long it takes to match your length. How long did it take for you? 30 years. Well, I don't know if I have that much time left. Let's go into what's happening in Minnesota. Border Czar Tom Homan announced this morning that the Trump administration will put out roughly 1/4 of the immigration enforcement agents who have surged into the Minneapolis area following months of protests, arrests, and 2 killings. The Minnesota Star Tribune writes, the immediate departure of about 700 agents, and Anthony and I were talking about this last night, will still leave about 2,000 in place, way more than usual. Any comments on this removal of 700 agents, Anthony?
The only comment I have in regards to that is that I'm actually surprised, in the sense of the quickness of, I guess, they feel like they have a handle on whatever concerns they have. And I guess based on having a handle on it, they feel it's time to, pull out. And I'm just surprised at the speediness of it, because I thought it would have taken longer.
Well, here in New York, Attorney General Letitia James will deploy staffers in purple vests to the scene of ICE raids who act as neutral observers. We'll see how neutral those observers are. And can you raise your camera a little, Tony? We want to see a lot more of you. Okay, there you go.
A lot more of me. How's that?
Okay. Donald Trump intends to sign an executive order in coming days naming Vice President J.D. Vance as chairman of a task force to look into the welfare abuses in California and elsewhere. There'll be others on there. FTC Chair Andrew Ferguson, a federal official whose job is to prevent consumers from being exploited, will be the vice chair. The also calls for Colin McDonald, who has been nominated for Trump, for a newly created fraud investigator role at the Justice Department, to fall within the DOJ's management structure, but to work closely with Vance and Ferguson. Now, why would they be going after California, and is New York next to find any fraud?
I have no idea.
Well, I mean, we know that there's been Medicare fraud. I have a piece here where there was a nonprofit person who stole $300,000 and is going to jail. Let me see if I can find that. Here we go. Nope. Next one. Got a lot of information here. Okay, it's Lori Zeno, the founder of the public defender organization Queens Defenders, pleaded guilty to one count of wire fraud conspiracy in a case where prosecutors said she used more than $300,000 of the organization's funds on indulgences like rent and a luxury apartment and a vacation to Bali. That's from the New York Times. And as we know personally, you and I, that things aren't always on the level. That well, let's not go there. Let's go to the Middle East. And the U.S. said Monday that it shot down an Iranian drone that aggressively approached the USS Abraham Lincoln. That action came within hours of Iranian gunboats trying to stop a U.S. oil tanker that morning. Both significant provocations as negotiations between the two countries, which began today with Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner in Oman for talks with Iranian officials at a tense moment for both countries. Now, I'm sure this is going to be one of your favorite topics. Bill and Hillary Clinton have agreed to testify before the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee as part of the panel's investigation into committed sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It's a remarkable reversal for the former president and Secretary of State, who last month chose to defy the committee's issued subpoenas and risk imprisonment by the Trump Justice Department. But they changed their minds as the House prepared to vote to call their bluff and hold them both in contempt of Congress. The only reason they have said they agreed to terms is because the House has moved forward with the contempt, and I will clarify the terms they are agreeing to, discuss the next steps with my committee members. Some Democrats warned House Republicans not to proceed. As Democratic Congressman Suhan Sumania, a member of the oversight panel, said he feared the Republicans will still go through with the House vote for a political end. The Republicans want to give Trump the ability to prosecute and put the Clintons in jail, he said in a brief interview. That's what it's really about. This isn't about the Epstein investigation. Hillary Clinton will appear on February 26th, and Bill Clinton will appear on the 27th. Any comment on the Clintons and Jeffrey Epstein?
I hope it's going to be as good as advertised when they show it on C-SPAN. I hope they show it on C-SPAN. Actually, this might be major television. You know, it could be. I think they had no choice. They know that they were being hung out to dry. They were hoping the Democrats could have saved them. But because of what's happened in the last couple of years, they were risking 6 months in jail each. So, you know, how is the testimony going to go? I don't know. You know, as you know, I'm the founder of a local Facebook page called Northwest Bronx Democrats. And I would say, if anybody has Facebook access, go to our Facebook page this morning. I put up a video, an AI video that was sent to me, and I shared it about Jeffrey Epstein and how he, you know, pretty much ruled the democratic world. You know, how all the, and not just Democrats, because as we're finding out with some of the Epstein files, you know, some Republicans were just as bad as Democrats. You know, Donald Trump was just as bad as Bill Clinton in many ways.
And
So the sad part about all this is that it's going to go both ways.
and not only that, but we're seeing people from outside politics quitting their jobs and being mentioned. We saw a lawyer from a head of a law firm. We see that the owner of the New York Giants, or I should say Jersey Giants, has been named in the Epstein files, among other people. But let's go to something right up your alley. The 2025 sales tax growth by New York State Controller Tom DiNapoli. He says local government sales tax collections in New York State totaled $24.4 billion in calendar year 2025, an increase of 4.5% or $1 billion from 2024, according to a report released by the controller earlier this week. Growth in 2025 was higher than the 3.8% annual growth rate from 2010 to 2019 period of recovery from the Great Recession and before the pandemic. Any comments on the increase in local sales tax?
You mean as far as revenue?
Yes.
The only comment I have is, if you believe that is true, then you must believe there's no more reason to tax the rich, right? Because you're telling me we got the money.
Some of he writes that Shenandoah County had the highest growth rate at 11.8%, followed by Yates at 11%, Hamilton 10.9%, Delaware 10.7%. And Sullivan County experienced the steepest decline in collections, minus 5.2%, followed by Scolari at minus 3.9%. And it even shows that Norwich County had the strongest growth of 20.9% over year, followed by Salamanca. I thought that was a former city councilman, but it's apparently a county in New York State. 7.7%, White Plains at 7.1%. So 6 cities had decreases, including Gloversville with the steepest at 7.2 and Utica at 7.1. But let's move on. Lieutenant Governor Anthony Delgado has selected former Buffalo Mayor India Walton as his running mate in his primary bid against incumbent Kathy Hochul. Delgado, a Hudson Valley Democrat, is turning to Walton, a member of the Democratic Socialists of America, who unexpectedly defeated then Buffalo Mayor Brian Brown in the 2021 primary, only to lose to him in the general election because he ran as an independent. I like her, said State Senator Jason Brisbart, a Delgado supporter and DSA member. She'll be great. And now we have something, and I believe you have this up on your page, where the Brooklyn Democratic Party moved to rescind its endorsement of Governor Kathy Hochul. It's the group led by a Assembly member Rodney Spichette, and is protesting Hochul's selection of former City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams as her running mate. Do you want to delve into this a little? I believe you posted something.
I'll talk about it a little bit. I don't have the press release in front of me. I do apologize. Again, if anybody wants to go to our Northwest Bronx Democrats page on Facebook, we have the actual press release. But to summarize, and I'm sure you might have some variation of it yourself. But to summarize, it sounds like the Brooklyn Democratic Party is not happy with Adrienne Adams. There are a lot of backdoor stories in regards to that, but the press release just pretty much says they're going to withdraw that support from Ms. Hochul because they're obviously not happy with her lieutenant governor choice.
Well, yeah, that's right, because she, hit her. We're at a commercial point, Anthony. Let's take a commercial right here. We'll come back with her poll numbers and why she chose Adrienne Adams and what to look for at the Democratic Convention, which already started today. So let's go to a commercial right now, and we'll come back with all that information and other so we can finish the show. Mr. Producer, can we have a commercial?
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.
Charges that were later dropped. Here I am. Do I have my guest with me, Anthony, or is he trying to fix his camera? Okay. There he is. Did you hear what I was saying about Adrienne Adams?
No, I just can't. You just put me on.
Okay. Well, she's 65 years old. Was elected speaker in 2022. She was term limited out. Now, Kathy Hochul says Adrienne Adams and I are no strangers to rolling up our sleeves and getting results. For working New Yorkers together, we're going to continue investing in public safety, bringing costs down, and making this state a place where all families can thrive. The choice of the replacement candidate for lame duck Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado, who is running against Hochul in the primary, was announced 2 days before the Democratic nominating convention in Syracuse. And this may be why the Brooklyn delegation is mad, because she was considering an assemblyman from Brooklyn as her lieutenant governor candidate, as well as two other people. And this mention of Adrienne Adams came out of the blue, basically. Meanwhile, her Republican opponent has not announced his running mate, that's Bruce Blakeman, and he blasted Hochul's decision. Leave it to Kathy Hochul to select.
You don't think it was me? You don't think it was maybe because, and I would emphasize people to look at the press release. You don't think it was because maybe, the power structure got derailed a little bit, meaning maybe Miss Rochette is a little upset that she didn't get the preliminary phone call?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like to me. It sounds like the Brooklyn Democratic Party got mad because Kathy Hochul inappropriately went over their head.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure she probably went over every party leader's head, because I would be surprised if Jamal Bailey, our Bronx Democratic leader, got the call either. Okay.
Well, I wish she'd be that strongful in fixing New York City and New York State instead of worrying about, this situation.
Well, we're going to get into something a little later that she's trying to fix his insurance rates. But my question will be, what took us so long? Now, the New York Democrats are having...
What insurance?
I'll get to that later, Tony. Democrats are having their state party convention in Syracuse today. Front and center at most convention is who is winding up making the ballot. Candidates need 25% of the weighted vote to secure a spot on the primary and to avoid the costly process of gathering 15,000 signatures to run for governor. But there's more to keep your eyes peeled this year as delegates gather in central New York for the first time since the 1982 convention, where they endorsed Ed Koch for governor. Here's what's to watch. Does Delgado get 25%? Do any of Controller Tom DiNapoli's challenges, he's got 5 challenges, do any of them get 25%? As we said, what does Brooklyn do? Do they vote for Kathy Hochul finally? Do they go for Delgado, or do they just sit it out? And is there a dust-up over ICE? Meaning that there is supposedly going to be a little protest or comment about ICE and not wanting ICE to come into the state. Now, one other person who's mad is State Senator Jessica Ramos, because the Queens Democratic Party dealt a serious blow to State Senator Jessica Ramos's re-election bid. District leaders within the party voted Monday not to carry her name on county petitions that will be circulated on February 21st, the first day to circulate petitions. The move signals she has little support within the county party and can't rely on its funds or volunteers to get her on the primary ballot. Ramos did not respond to a request from Politico. The Jackson Heights lawmaker faces a primary challenge from Assembly member Jessica Gonzalez Rojas, who announced her intention to oust Ramos in the weeks after Mondami's primary victory. Ramos shocked the New York political world when she turned her flagging mayoral campaign into a platform to endorse Andrew Cuomo for mayor, who she criticized harshly on the campaign trail. Now, there's another endorsement here that's noteworthy. It appears that Ross Baraka, the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, whose bid for New Jersey came up short last year, told Politico that he will endorse Michael Blake in his second attempt at a primary against Bronx Congressman Richie Torres. Torres was first elected in Congress in 2020, defeating Blake by 14 points in the primary. Blake's campaign is centered around Torres's ardent support for Israel, which Blake charges is a distraction from local issues. Baraka told Politico that while he recognizes Democratic resources should be focused on retaking the House, he doesn't think there's an excuse for us to just go wherever there. Business as usual is what got us into this position. Baraka said Michael Blake is a fresh voice. Just like Michael Blake's problem with his financial disclosures, he may not know what congressional seat he is running for with an endorsement from the mayor of New Jersey. Now, is he running for a New York seat or a Jersey seat? Maybe Michael Blake should have run for Bronx Borough President instead of mayor. He might have had a better chance. Now, one thing I want to note here now, Anthony this morning posted on his Facebook page about the nurses' strike, that 13 nurses were arrested for blocking a building as their strike against 3 hospitals goes into the 25th day. Now, what are the 3 hospitals that still these nurses are striking against? There's Mount Sinai. What are the other hospitals? I don't remember offhand.
Mount Sinai, Montefiore Hospital, and the third one is escaping me at the moment.
Oh, so Montefiore's nurses are strike. Okay, let's go into Kathy Hochul's insurance measures. She's highlighted her proposals to bring down the cost of vehicle insurance rates and tackle fraudulent claims across New York State. The governor has taken common sense steps to battle fraud, limit damages paid out to bad actors, and ensure consumers, not insurance companies, are prioritized. And this comes from her page. New Yorkers pay some of the highest car insurance rates in the nation, totaling just over $4,000 annually, nearly $1,500 above the national average. Car insurance rates are driven by a combination of fraud, litigation, illegal loopholes, and enforcement gaps, with stage crashes and associated insurance fraud inflating everybody's premiums by as much as $300 a year on average, according to some estimates. Here are some of the measures she wants to do to lower insurance.
Wait a minute. You got to slow down for 1 second. I just heard you say, or let me ask you a question in regards to what you just said. Rates are normally delivered by supply and demand. You mentioned rates were measured by 95 other things besides supply and demand. That's amazing.
Well, Anthony,
that sounds like that could be your problem right there, right?
it's normally supply and demand, but as we've seen with egg prices, it's been with the bird flu and other outside forces that raise up prices. The price of oil, so
I'm not a driver, but you tell me, because I know you are. Do you believe that? Do you believe bird flu has made your insurance go up 10, 20%?
You can find more about that on my blog, but my main question is, what has she done in the past 4 years that she's been governor? Why hasn't she done this before? Why is it in an election year that she's doing it? All right, maybe we should have elections every year for every position. But let's move on, because Wednesday, New York City Mayor Zohan Madami announced a $38.4 million investment to deliver clean, reliable heat pumps at NYCHA's Beach 41st Street houses in Edgemere, Queens, delivering modern heating and cooling to 712 homes as part of the city's Clean Heat for All initiative. The Beach 41st Street houses will be the first among NYCHA's development to receive the custom-designed heat pumps, which will replace the aging gas boiler system that has exceeded its useful life. Once installed, the heat pumps will be more consistent and reliable heating and efficient cooling in bedrooms and living rooms, individual temperature controls for residents, and improve water reliability. None are to be installed in bathrooms or kitchens. The project advances the city goal of clean heat for all in more than 10,000 NYCHA apartments by 2020. Now, what this is something that is going to sit on your windowsill, half outside, half inside your apartment. And for what I've seen on them, I forgot to put up a picture. I didn't have a picture that I could put up. It seems like you can't open your windows. And why are they just putting these in bedrooms and living rooms? Your bathroom. I mean, how many times have you gone into your bathroom in the middle of the night, because you had to go to the bathroom and it's freezing in there? I know mine is. I wish, what can I tell you? And when it comes to mid weather, like in the 60s or 70s, when you don't want to use the heat and you don't want to use the air conditioner, it looks like you won't be able to open the windows. So you're going to have to use one or the other. But, 30, and I'm going to tell you this, Anthony. I grew up in Far Rockaway on Beach 25th Street. So this is Beach 41st Street. I know the Edgemere projects, as they used to be called, very well, okay? And they are old. Believe me, they are 75 years old. So you're bringing in something that just sits on the windowsill. What about all of the other problems in the projects? Are you going to fix them? Because, don't laugh, because I said this to Mayor Bill de Blasio many years ago about NYCHA, all the problems in there, because I went in with a candidate for assembly back in 2018 into the Castle Hill houses. And what we saw was these windows had ice on the inside. Not only the windows, but the walls had ice. Okay. So you're going to put a heater and a air conditioner in a window that has ice on it and the wall that has ice on it. What is that going to do? You're going to have, fix that problem. And what about the leaky ceilings and the vermin problem? I don't, because there's mice and rats. You see the stories on TV. All right. So when I said this to Mayor Bill de Blasio, he said, well, the federal government and the state aren't giving their fair share. It would take $18 billion to fix NYCHA. That was in 2018, I believe. Recently, what was it? A couple of years ago, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez came in with a new green bill or plan, whatever, and said it would take $50 billion to fix NYCHA. I just wonder how much it would cost now. What is it up to? About $100 million to bring NYCHA up to grade in all of their buildings?
That's what they say.
But, I just want to move on to one or two little items. Archbishop Richard Hicks took over St. Patrick's Cathedral today as he replaces Cardinal Timothy Dolan, who retired as he turned 75. New York City's transit system, largest in the United States, is creating a new unit to steer a $12 billion effort to replace decades-old trains and modernize its bus fleet. I guess that's where the congestion pricing is going. And New Yorkers haven't heard the last of Andrew Cuomo. The ex-governor has landed a weekly show gig on 77 WABC radio, the New York Post reports. Cuomo's one-hour program will be titled The Pulse of the People and will air its inaugural episode at 5 p.m. on Sundays, or it has already, a source said. Now, this seems to be, and WABC owner John Catsimatidis welcomed Cuomo to his radio team. Now, it appears, if I remember correctly, wasn't former Republican mayoral candidate Curtis Lewa on WABC radio? It appears he's now on WOR radio with his own show. So I don't know. But our last piece of item I want to get into, because we're running a little late. The Bronx Times last week had an article about Zohan Madami coming to Jacoby Hospital, and what did they say? He reactivates Just Home supportive housing at Jacoby. And in the bottom of the article that I circled is where they talk about three women getting Jumaane Williams' attention. He came over to talk to them. What about us? Ms. Rochelle Mandel said that I had her on the show last week. We worked our asses off to buy our homes. Public advocate Jumaane Williams approached a group of three Williams women, but one called Williams a liar and flipped the middle finger as the group left. Now, I showed a picture of her holding her finger like this. Now, again, when you turn, does this look like the middle finger? I don't know, but Rochelle has asked for the Bronx Times to print a retraction. This is this week's Bronx Times reporter. Nothing in there. They're ignoring her. Shame on you, Bronx Times and Bronx Times reporter. You are a phony newspaper. By the way, the newspaper was created by Michael Benedetto and his friend Colazzi to get him in as an assemblyman. It's a very political paper. It's a Democratic paper. This is the president of the Bronx Women's Republican Club. So I don't expect anything less from the Bronx Times. Okay.
No, Robert, in all fairness, I would give it one more week, meaning that, understanding how local newspapers work, and when you're asking for retractions and things of that nature, you would like for it to be the following week. I know everybody would. But I've noticed over the years, sometimes it might take 2 weeks, sometimes it might take 3 weeks. But you're right, 2-3 weeks might come by and they may not do it at all.
And you're right.
But I would give them a little bit of grace about it. The only reason I'm constantly smiling, especially when you're talking about Just Home, is because you're talking about the agency of which the person in charge, you said on this show a couple of years ago, he was a genius because he said you were exempt from COVID, right? Isn't this the same doctor that said to you,
yep,
oh, don't worry about taking any medicine or anything because you're immune from COVID?
I didn't catch it,
right?
Tom. And I
right? That's the same guy that told you that, right?
He was, but again, this, and not only that, but the Bronx Times is about a week late, and it's, as you say, in its news. Most of its news is old news. They have the, from January items in this week's paper, and it's dated, January 30th to February 5th, but, the middle of January they have items from. So I don't know, let's just say shame on you, Bronx Times reporter, for not retracting what you said about this woman or this group of women when they approached Jumaane Williams. And I was there at the press conference. I didn't see or hear it. I saw them on the side. I didn't see any big commotion. And, who knows? Maybe they got it from John Doyle, who was the communications director for the Jacoby Hospital. I don't know. So if you're watching, John, too bad, John Doyle. And
well, the picture, I mean, the article that you're referencing, I remember seeing it. It does show, I think, 2 pictures. I know one for sure, maybe 2, that shows that there is interaction.
Well, that was
happening. I don't know what kind of interaction.
The online version. This is the print version. There is no photos on the print version.
Oh, there's no photos?
No, they took down the photos. Because
on the print version?
Yeah, here it is. This is the article.
So you're saying, so I want to be sure I'm understanding this. So you're saying that the Bronx Times has written an article with no pictures, so they've made an accusation with no pictures.
No, and you and I both saw the picture on the online version.
And the online version did have a few pictures, of which, again, you can see they're interactive.
She was standing like this with a finger like this, pointing like this to him. And I don't know if this is the middle finger or not, but
I would, I know Rochelle personally as well, so I would be a little surprised. But that would be a little unbecoming of her personality, as I know her. Not to say she did it or didn't do it, but that would be a little, surprising to me.
But her and the other 2 women that were with her, I spoke to them personally, all have denied it. And again, the only thing you could see is the picture. And probably when she moved, oh, look, somebody said to the reporter from the Bronx Times, oh, look, she's pointing the middle finger at Jumaane Williams. Okay. And I'm not going to say who it is because you and I probably both know who it is. And we're at the end of our show, Anthony. Any final notes that you want to say before we go off the air?
No, brother. Just have a good weekend. And ladies and gentlemen, on February 20th, Robert has a brand new show. It's the same name, called Talking Politics, but he has a radical co-host by the name of me. So we've already warned the producer he might need bail money down the road. So start putting out a GoFundMe page.
All right. Take care. And Kevin, I'm not surprised at that. Let's not get into this, but we know what Bill Clinton did in office too. All right. And I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week. And as Anthony said, we have a new version of the show coming up where Anthony will be co-hosting with me. So I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Imagine a media platform that reshapes the conversation, empowers your voice, and redefines the Bronx community. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative. For businesses, politicians, and government agencies, we offer targeted advertising solutions that drive results. Amplify your message. Reach the heart of the Bronx and beyond. Our platform connects you to the community. Learn more. Email info@bronxpost.com or call 718-892-5555. Visit www.bronxpost.com for breaking news and updates. Bronx Post, changing the reality, changing the narrative.